like creative service agency. And so it's myself and currently 2 part-timers, which I'm really excited to have on my team. So I have some really talented people that help us get a lot of things done for our clients. And Sherry, if you could help me just kind of keep an eye on the chat today. If anybody has any questions while we're going through this, please feel free to chime in and ask questions as we go. So today we're talking about Google My Business. Specifically, Google My Business is the listing of your location or your business on Google as a place of business. And so those are what will pop up if you are looking at a map or doing a search. Can someone go ahead and confirm that you can see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it, Maria.
Okay, thanks, Lori. All right, so Google My Business, it's a way to help build your brand online. And so what you'll want to do, why do we even bother with getting listed online, right? People are looking for places to do business. They're looking for people who can solve their problem. 70% of all searches actually happen on Google. It is the largest search engine and the most prevalent that people use. That equates to 3.5 billion searches every single day. So if you are wanting to get found by people who are actively searching for your business and your type of business, your services, Google is a great place to get listed so that they can find you when they're ready to buy. Then a lot of people don't tend to get past Google's first page of search results. We all know the importance of search engine optimization, but in 2014, which we know is a little bit dated, a Google study found that 50% of consumers who conducted a local search on their smartphone visited a store within a day. So if you're being found on Google as a place of business, it is very likely that someone is actually ready to buy and ready to come see you, and they just really need to figure out how to get there. So this can include directions, this can include your hours of operation. There's a lot of information and a lot of questions that you can fill out in your Google My Business profile to help them get the information they need in order to come buy from you. So if you do not already have a Google My Business listing, we're going to start from the very beginning. How to get started. If you want to create a Google My Business listing, you will need to have a couple of different things. One, you will need to set up a Google account if you don't already have one. This could mean setting up a Gmail account that is, something along the lines of your business name at gmail.com. You can also have a Google Suite account, in which case you can actually tie your unique domain name to a Google account. So for example, I have a Google account and this presentation is actually created in Google Slides, but it's my email address at my own domain name. So my email address is marie@neatandnimble.com. And so I am actually logged into Google as marie@neatandnimble.com. So if you don't already have a Google account, you can create a Gmail and that will do what you need it to do. If you want to take it to the next level and create a professional looking email address and account for that, get in touch with me. There's lots of different ways to kind of go about that. But once you have your Google account, you will go to google.com/, and if you forget this for any reason, Google it, you'll find them. They make it really easy. Then you get logged in if you're not already and create a new Google My Business listing. You'll enter your information. This is going to include your name, your address, the phone number that you want listed, your hours of operation. If you already have a website, you can include that there. And then you get into a little bit of the deeper dive. That's where you fill in your category. And this is something that you want to use as few as possible, but also be as specific as possible. So if you are, for example, like a supplement superstore, you would want to include like maybe nutrition and supplements. You don't want to necessarily list yourself as like health and wellness. You want to get very specific and keep it as minimal as possible so that people can find you for the right things and find you for the right services. This is also a place in your listing where you want to update your category if your services or the products that you offer ever change. If you open your business and you start with only carrying, women's clothing for teens or something like that, then later, if you start carrying kids' clothes or if you start carrying maternity clothes or something like that, you would want to go in and make those updates and changes so that you can be found by the correct people. Then there's also the option to include a menu. There's two different types of menus. You can include like a restaurant style menu where you have the different items. You can also include like a description of the actual menu item, which is really handy for people who are looking to go out to dinner, out for lunch, out for breakfast, folks that are looking in different locations than what they would normally be traveling in. So tourists. A lot of times they're using Google to find menus, and it's very handy to not even have to go away from Google, but be able to see your menu in your listing. You can also include a menu that is more service oriented. So if you are like a car auto repair shop, including and making sure that you list, oil changes, tire rotations, and some of those maintenance things, as well as if you handle, larger total motor rebuilds or transmission jobs, things like that. Then you have your description. So Google My Business has a little spot where you can include basically a bio. So if you think about it, it's just a very short description of your business about what you want people to see or what you want them to know about you. You want to keep it pretty simple so that you can keep it short and sweet. They get the information they need. They can make a decision pretty quickly on whether or not you're a good match. All right, and I'm going to pause for just a second. I saw that there was a couple of chats. So Mary was asking, is there a cost for upgrading to a professional email? So yes, there is a very minimal cost. I use a service provider here in Columbia, which I can put in the chat. It's like $6 a month per email, which for me is very minimal, considering the level of professionalism that it provides and a little bit of reassurance to folks when you have an email address that is at a unique URL instead of at a Gmail or a Yahoo email address. And then you do not have to have a physical address. You do not have to list it, I should say. Obviously, your location or your business does have a physical address, even if you are working out of your home, like myself, or if you are, kind of in a virtual remote kind of location, you still have an address, but you don't have to show it publicly. You can include like a service area on your Google listing and be found in the areas that you serve without listing a physical address. So because my business is currently in a home office environment, I do not want my office address where I actually receive mail to be listed because I don't want people showing up in my neighborhood, trying to figure out which door to come in. And that's not how my business currently operates. I come to my clients or we meet virtually. So yes, you do need a physical address, but you don't need it to be listed publicly. Then circling back to the stuff you can include on your Google My Business, attributes. So if you have specific attributes for your business or for the audience that you're serving, you can include that. So for me, it's very important for me to know if a restaurant is like kid friendly. I have an 8-year-old and a 2-year-old. And by golly, if they do not have a kids menu, then my family probably doesn't want to be there for, the half an hour or hour that it takes for us to have a nice meal together. And so it's really important to include different attributes to help people filter out whether or not your business is a good fit for their needs. Just because you may not be a good fit right now, it doesn't mean that they can't recommend you to a friend or a family member or something like that. So some attributes that you might include would be, is it kid friendly? Do you have free Wi-Fi? Is there an outdoor patio? Other amenities do you have like gender neutral bathrooms, for example? That might make some folks more comfortable using your business to serve their purpose. So once you have your, if you don't already have a listing, you can create one, which is what we were just going over. Sometimes Google has businesses listed without it being claimed. So this is kind of the other flip side of things. You might find your business listed online where people and like the internet has provided enough information that Google knows that you are a business and probably give or take where you're located, but they don't have someone managing that listing with up-to-date information, such as being closed on 4th of July, or having specific contact information like your website or the correct phone number. It is also possible to claim a business that is already listed. So if you do not already have your Google My Business profile set up and you're not in charge of your listing, I would recommend and suggest that you go and do a quick search and see if your business is available to claim. It's going to be important to claim that business so that you have control and administrative rights to all of that information, because you don't want someone else to claim your business. How likely is it, for someone else to claim a business that they don't own? Honestly, I don't know what the stats are on that. However, it is a possibility. If you are not the owner of your My Business listing, someone else could possibly claim it. And that should show up with like something along the lines of like, do you know this business? Claim it here. And there's like a link on the profile. So after you create your account and you create a Google My Business profile, the next step is to get verified. So just because you put information into Google doesn't mean that you're done yet. It does not mean that it shows up publicly. I'm actually struggling with this step a little bit myself, which I'll get into in a second. But when you create your Google My Business profile, the next step is to get verified. And it comes in the form of a postcard with a code on it that you input on Google. So when you set up your business, there's going to be a little blue button on one of the screens, and it just says verify. When you go through that step, then it will send you a postcard in the mail, and you can then plug that information in and plug that code in to get verified and verify your account. So Ashley, I am actually having the same problem. I went full time in my business back in January, and like pretty quickly after that set up my Google My Business. And I have requested a postcard, I think 5 times, and it has not ever arrived at my house. So I am actually still not verified, even though I do help businesses get their own set up. So honestly, there is you have to like kind of hunt around for it, but there is a link, and I will find it again for you and send it to me if you want to put your email in the chat. And I have an appointment with Google to do a live video session with someone to verify my business by live video. There are a couple of different ways that you can verify your business. They recommend, and like the most prevalent is they want you to use that postcard method. It is also possible for some accounts to verify through Google Tag Manager, which is a website tool. And I think there's an option for verify by phone. However, those options were not available to me. So I had to go through some of the troubleshooting. And I actually have an appointment set up where they will do a live video chat. And I basically need to like show them that I am like actually a business and not just some like weirdo in a basement. I'm a weirdo and I'm in a basement, but like not that kind. And so I need to show them like my business cards. They want to see equipment and kind of like an office type of setup, or what I would be using to provide the services that I offer, signage. So there's going to be a few things that I need to show them during that session. But hopefully, fingers crossed, I will be verified before the end of the week. I've set up multiple businesses over the years with Google My Business, and this is the first time that I've ever had trouble getting that postcard. And so I don't want to scare anyone. This will probably not happen to you, especially if you're at a commercial address. I'm in a residential address. I think that might be part of the problem. But since it's Google and they're like, a huge entity, and it's really difficult to get a hold of anyone, I can't say for certain if that's what the trouble is.
Yeah, because Valerie said hers came right away.
Yeah, and it usually comes within like 10 days or something. Like it does take a hot minute to get there, but it's not the months and months that I've been waiting, and like I've requested it multiple times. So I think part of it is like maybe partial user error because it's been a little bit, but also I think there's some other complications going on. And so once you get verified, there's some options. You can also to develop a website through Google. This is an example. It's pretty straightforward and simple. It is like a WYSIWYG, so what you see is what you get type of editor. So if you're in a pinch and you need some sort of web presence, but you don't have either the budget or a lot of time to set something up, you can do like a couple clicks and add a website. But also, if you are looking to develop a website and you really want it to serve your business long term, and you want something that is going to have some good strategy behind it, that is something that we do at Neat and Nimble. So shameless plug here. For a more thorough and polished online presence, we would be happy to talk with you about your options for developing one with us. Once you are verified, your Google My Business profile, it is time to fill that bad boy in. So you want to build out your profile and provide Google with content to fill it out, so to speak, and kind of dress it up a little bit. And so you'll want to have some files and some digital files ready. That would include adding a profile picture. You can add photos of your business. So photos of your business are really helpful, especially if people are visiting you in a physical location. They like to know what to expect. They like to see an exterior picture of your business, and it should be far enough away from your front door that people will know if they're pulling up in a car or walking from down the street, and be able to see kind of a little bit of your surroundings. You don't necessarily have to have your neighbor's signage in the picture, but show them the exterior of your building, so that they'll recognize it when they're pulling up and arriving, that they're in the right spot. It's also great to include some interior pictures, especially of the amenities that you have and what they can expect. So if you are a restaurant, showing, the different kinds of seating. Do you have seating at the bar? Do you have tables? Do you have booths? If someone is in a wheelchair or needs some ADA type of accessibility, showcase that you have wide doorways and no stairs. And things like that. So ramps to get in and out of patio areas, things like that. You can also update your Google My Business with a post. So this is a not super frequently used feature, but once you have your account all set up, it is a great habit to create a routine where you're going in and adding an update for your business on a pretty regular basis. Start with once a week. If nothing else, start with once a week. What are you doing for your clients? What kind of work have you done in the past week or two? And just give a little quick update. Think of it as if you were updating your Facebook page for your business. You can include text, photos. You can also include GIFs, and it actually provides you with some options to add a call to action. So here you can see a small screenshot of the account that I am working on getting verified. But you can see we've added a photo. We've got a very small snippet of text, and then it also included a learn more that will link back to our website. Those call to action buttons. Oh, sorry, I didn't move around enough. Those call to action buttons include buy, sign up, learn more, reserve, or get offer. Obviously, with all of the pandemic changes that have been going on, a lot of businesses have changed either how they're doing business or have, made some changes to the process, how people move throughout their business, how they make purchases. So there's actually a specific link right here in the top left. You can see it says COVID-19 update. So if you have special procedures or information that you need to share about that, you can include that. You can also update and add events. So if you have an event happening at your place of business, you can add those details, and that is just another way and another piece of content that people can find you by. All right, so Mary is asking, what if you have a service business and don't meet clients at your own location? So I am in the same boat, Mary. We do a lot of our work digitally and through like art and creative services, in which the deliverables are typically a file that we're sending to someone. So they're not actually needing to meet with me in a physical space. We can do things by Zoom, although if someone is local, we're also coming and traveling to them to have in-person meetings as requested. And so you can include like the areas that you serve. So if you are focusing on business and helping folks like in the Columbia market or in the St. Louis market, there's a spot on the Google My Business profile where you can include your service areas, in which case I would recommend just adding those specific cities that you are serving, and it'll include that. And Google says basically that like those areas will be found, or that you will be found in those areas where people are searching. And what images would you use if you have an online service business? Ooh, okay. So again, same kind of thing. You want to showcase the results. It's also good to be personable. So if you have like a headshot or a picture of the professional workspace that you're working in, even if you have like a home business and it is in the corner of your living room, clean that space up, set up your pens and your pencils and straighten all your bottles or whatever you have on your desk, or clear it all out and clean up your space and make it even look more professional than what you actually live with every day. But including a kind of a location-based photo can help build rapport with the people who are checking you out, but also including some photographs of the businesses or the individuals that you are helping, and kind of possibly some graphics with testimonials. Obviously on Google, there's the option to include reviews and like people to give you star ratings. Showcasing the results that you get and the results that your clients and your customers get would be great. If you are drop shipping something and doing some products, or like an online store, you can include product pictures, and those may or may not be, super formal, depending on, the voice and the tone that you're using with your brand. So those would be some suggestions that I would have for an online service business. Quick drink. So once you have your profile, you have built it out with lots of different content to help people find you and also kind of filter you in or out of their decision-making process. One of the things that people like to do, and people spend a lot of time online doing, is looking at reviews. So building some good habits and some good routines for your customer journey, to include that very formal or very specific ask for an online review, is a really good habit to develop as a business. And so some of those best practices, when you are closing out and kind of completing someone's transaction, asking for reviews after every sale. So it's important to do this for a couple different reasons, but you want to ask for a review every single time. One, because you don't want to pass up an opportunity. Someone could have had an exceptional experience and you maybe thought it was mediocre, or, kind of not at your very top level. So asking for reviews, even if they're not your very top ones, so that you can get honest feedback. Also, asking, even if someone had a bad experience or, you kind of tripped up in a few ways, but you made it right, those reviews and showcasing your level of customer service, even if things weren't perfect during the transaction, is a great opportunity to showcase how you treat a customer and what you are willing to do to make their experience a positive one. It's also a good habit to log in. Once you have your Google My Business profile, it will alert you to the email address that you have set as an administrator. I think it also sets it for managers. So something I did not touch on yet is when you're setting up your account, you become the administrator on that Google My Business profile, but you can also add other people to help you manage that account. There's going to be one person who is a primary owner of your Google My Business listing. And then you can also add managers. And so if you have some folks that are helping you manage your online listings or an agency that you're working with, you can add them as a manager and give them power to kind of have some activity and do some things for you without giving them full ownership of the account. It's important to have a backup and someone else who can get into your account in case, heaven forbid, you forget which Gmail account you have or you lose your password, so that you can make sure you have access to that. But when you start getting reviews, it will alert you to those administrative emails. And then it's really good, it's best practice, we say, to reply to every single review within about 48 hours. So that kind of gives you a break on the weekends to come in on Mondays and make sure that you're getting those replies in. But it's best to respond to every single one. So if someone gives you 5 stars and no comments, you can just say, thank you for the 5 stars. Hope you, see you next time. If someone gives you 2 stars and you're thinking like, oh man, this like isn't great, but they give you a little bit of feedback on what you can do better next time, be honest and be transparent about that and say, I'm really sorry that you had a less than pleasant experience. Thank you for the feedback. We hope you can return and give us another chance. You can also ask for people to continue the conversation offline. So if you ever have a bad review come in, we recommend that you do not try to complete a customer service type of interaction on your Google reviews. That's not really the place for it. That conversation should be taken offline. You can publicly reply to that review and give them a call to action. So, Marie, I'm really sorry that you had this experience. We would really like to talk with you. Please give our manager a call at, and then include a phone number, or please email us to get in touch with our supervisor or whoever it is that would handle your customer service. And take that conversation offline and try to resolve the conflict offline. You're going to know more than likely who that person is or what their particular disagreement or conflict is with your business. However, you're replying not only for that person who you're trying to resolve things with, but also for the hundreds or thousands of other people who are going to see that online in the future. And so making sure that you reply publicly and give that person an opportunity to try to resolve the conflict by including your contact information for customer service is a really great best practice to follow. It's also important to stay professional and what we call on brand. So if you are getting positive feedback and it's part of your brand voice to have words like awesome or cool or tubular, like whatever it is that your brand sounds like, you want to use that same brand voice when you're replying to your reviews. Vice versa, staying professional and making sure that you're using positive words, even in a negative situation, to try and either stay positive or at the very least, try to stay neutral with your replies is another great practice to be careful of when you're working on your reviews. So we've talked about replying, and that is because over half, about 53% of people expect responses to negative reviews. It's important to stay active in your reviews so that they don't go unmissed. When you are replying and following up on a negative review, it shows that you care. And people expect that. They expect to see that you are not just ignoring a negative review and that you're taking it seriously. Because if they have a negative experience, even if they've never used you before, even if they have a positive experience, they want to know, they want to have some assurance that if it was ever a negative experience, you would be open to fixing it or having feedback and interacting, even if things don't go perfectly. So you can even go another extra mile with your Google My Business listing. You can enable messaging within Google My Business so customers can actually contact you directly. So with Facebook email, or I'm sorry, with Facebook Messenger, you can also connect it with email and obviously your business phone number. But with all of those things in place, you may not even need another contact point. However, do not set this up, set up any kind of chat or messenger unless you are able to respond in a very timely manner. If people are wanting to speak with a representative, something that they want to wait hours for. So this might be someone who answers your emails or answers your phones at your office. This could be an intern and only available during certain hours. But make sure that you're able to respond in a very timely manner. So I talked a little bit earlier about including pictures. You can also include 3D and like virtual 360 images in your listing. And so that is something that you can even connect to Google Street View. That is not my area of expertise. I do have a couple people that I could recommend you to if you're interested in that particular service. But it is possible to include a Google 360 image in your listing. And so if you have a space or you know, an area that really showcases what you do or how you serve your clients and your customers, a 360 picture and like added features of that could be something that could really help showcase your business above your competition. And we recommend that if you want to include this, to go ahead and hire a professional for it, and they can help you make a plan to accomplish this. This is especially helpful if you are serving in any kind of capacity for multifamily housing. So if you have like apartments that you're renting or house rentals, showcasing that space and that area is great. It could also be great for businesses who are doing experience-based purchases. So zip lining or, you know, a pool, and like different places and activities, bowling alleys, things like that, where people want to see the space and want to see the kind of experience that they're going to have. This is also great for museums and landmarks because you can actually view the space and, you know, the history without ever leaving your couch. Of course, we do want people to come and experience that in person. This is just to attract them. So you don't want to give away everything, but showcasing those very special places and nooks in your business is a great way to build out that listing. And a lot of times, so what these look like is you can kind of see on this preview image over here that a lot of times they have like a little circle on the floor that is provided in the Matterport system. And so if you're wanting to do this, you can do a search for like Matterports, it's not video, but Matterport listings, and Matterport is a service and a provider of that. All right. So now you've got a listing, you've got all the information in about your business. You have some really robust updates, you're making changes, you're getting reviews. Now what? What do you do with all that information? Google will actually provide you with insights. So once you have your Google My Business listing active and verified and actually out in the world, you can start to see some information about how your business is performing online. What are people finding you by? How are they interacting? What are they doing with that information? So this is an actual screenshot from a business that is located in the kind of on the east side of the state. And you can see in 1 month, they had almost 5,000 total views. Over half of those people who are finding them through the map feature. And so you can see that they're getting found mostly through maps, but then a lot of folks are also finding them in the search feature. And so that search feature is what you would see when you have when you Google something and it's just that normal search results page. If they're searching in the map, which for me, I do mostly with restaurants and places that I literally something near me, they would see you in the maps feature. All right, and then customer action. So what are people doing while they are on your listing? They might be visiting your website. They could be requesting directions, or are they just trying to call you? And so Google will provide you insights and give you those numbers on how many people are doing each of those actions. It will also show you how many phone calls you're getting at different times of the day. And so you can kind of see here, there's a big spike typically that's right when someone opens their doors and they start operating for the day. There might be a lull during different times of the day, or it kind of trails off. So you can see this particular business. Oh, I just didn't have the times at the bottom. Oh, yes, it does. So this particular business opens right at 9 a.m. So they've got a few people that are maybe calling right in before they open, but then they've got a real big spike for the day first thing when they open. It kind of trails off a little bit. There's a dip around lunch, which is typically for them when people would be stopping by. And so they're getting information, coming by on their lunch hour, and then calling again in the afternoon. So when you are looking at this information, you want to keep an eye out for dips and spikes, and then try to attribute it and match it to activity with the different kinds of actions that you might be taking. So does your phone results, do they match your hours of operation? Are people trying to call you when you're closed? If so, that might be an indication that it would be good to extend your service hours and stay open, another hour later, or kind of move your business hours or your operations around to suit the needs of your customers and your clients. If people are requesting directions, making sure that you have very clear and concise directions, and making sure that your address is up to date, and maybe providing and actually adding a few exterior pictures so that people know that they're in the right spot when they arrive. You want to use the data to make informed decisions about your operations and your opportunities. The insights will actually also show you where people are searching or finding you. So if someone is looking for you in, say, the state of Illinois, it will show that, this particular region in this area, they are finding you your listing. And so that might be people that you're drawing in from other markets. It might also be an indication that that your business could possibly be supported in that area by those customers who are searching for you. So when you're looking at your Go My Business, you really just want to put yourself in your customer's shoes, right? Marketing is all about having empathy and helping people feel good things about your business by understanding what they're feeling when they're searching for your business. So when they Google you, what do they find? You can do quick searches. I recommend using Google Chrome in incognito mode because then it eliminates any of your own personal browser history and kind of gets that out of the way so that you're not seeing a biased search results. But what are they going to find? If they search for ice cream shop, Columbia, Missouri, are they going to find Sparky's? Are they going to find Andy's? If you own one of those businesses, what are they going to see? Then can they browse your website? Is your website first linked to your Google My Business profile? If so, does the information match when they get to your website? Does it match the information that they're finding on your Google My Business listing? Do they know if there's parking Can they tell if there's a kids menu? Can they tell if you're ADA accessible? Are there things that, you know, they have specific needs for that you can showcase in your Google My Business to help them choose you over one of your competitors? Answering questions like, do they need an appointment or a reservation? And putting that really in the forefront of the information that they're looking at. It might be helpful to include, maybe instead of going to your website, maybe it goes to your booking website where they can see that, oh, I need an appointment for this place. Otherwise, they might not be able to get me in. Then also checking out, like, what kinds of reviews do they see? What is your average star rating? And what do your responses look like? So if you were someone who was not familiar with your business, if you weren't in your business doing the work, what would you think if you saw those reviews? Are they glowing and every single one is 5 stars? Or, you know, are there a couple 1 or 2 or 3 stars, or, you know, a few 4 stars, where it kind of showcases what might be a less than perfect experience for someone. If you see a bunch of reviews that are saying, oh, it's really poor lighting, you know, it's really dark in there, I don't like to be there. Just because one person says that that's bad, that might also be a reason that someone else would come and see you. You know, sometimes you're looking for mood lighting, you're looking for a very cozy environment. So just because one person puts it in a poor light does not mean that it is going to scare people off. But, you know, staying true to what you offer and making sure that you're reaching the right customers is a great way to optimize your Google My Business listing. Lastly, you know, how do you compare to your competitors? Are you making updates to your listing and they're not? That could help showcase that your business is very active and obviously in business and available. And can someone take the desired action quickly and easily? So if you are wanting to list your business on Google, what do you want people to do after they find you? It's a great question, right? Do you want them to visit your website? Do you want them to call you? Do you want them to look at your pictures? Do you want them to submit a review? All of those are different actions that you can help people focus on and showcase in your Google My Business listing. After you get your Google My Business listing input, you might also want to go get listed in some other online directories and websites. Here is a list, and this is just a couple of images that I found. These are different locations and different websites where you might be able to list your business. Obviously, like if you're a restaurant, you don't need to be listed on a doctor's website, but there are probably some very industry specific websites where you want to be found. And so seeking those out and getting listed, a lot of them are free. Because they are not selling placement on their website, they're selling ads on their website for the traffic that they're driving. So, you know, doing a little bit of investigating to see what those different websites are doing and what they're trying to achieve might help you figure out if it's a good place for your particular business or not. All right, that concludes today's, oh, and I timed out again. There we go. That concludes today's presentation about Google My Business. I'd be happy to answer any other questions that anyone has and talk about, you know, what challenges you have with your own Google My Business listing or getting found online. And please take a moment to take down our contact information if you have any other questions outside of the coffee and conversations.